Welcome to another deep dive. And today we are heading to a place where I'd love to be right now, honestly, the Bahamas.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, and we're using the book Sailing Through Serenity, Discover the Bahamas by Sea and Land, to really, well, deep dive into the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Whether you're, someone who loves to sail or if
hmm
you prefer to keep your feet on solid ground, I think this is going to be a really fascinating look at this incredible island chain.
Yeah, a lot of people think of the Bahamas and they think of one island.
Right.
You would get off the cruise ship and you're, in a tourist trap, right?
Right.
But it's so much more than that. It's actually 700 islands
Wow.
and over 2,000 Ks,
Okay.
all spread across, almost 14,000 square miles.
Wow, that's massive.
It is. And because of that, it's geographically very diverse. You've got these dramatic cliffs, you've got beaches, you've got these hidden coves with all sorts of marine life.
It's interesting that you mentioned the cliffs because I think when most of us picture the Bahamas, we picture those perfect beaches, white sand and crystal clear water.
Right, right. And the beaches are beautiful, but they're a product of the unique geology of the islands, right?
Okay.
They're made from limestone.
Uh-huh.
And that limestone over millennia, dissolves with rainwater and creates these incredible formations, right?
Right.
So you've got the beaches, but then you also have caves, grottos, and even underwater sinkholes,
Oh, wow.
which are called blue holes.
Now you're talking my language. Underwater caves.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Basically vertical caves filled with water. Pretty incredible.
So we've got diverse landscapes above the water and below.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the people?
Mm-hmm.
What's the culture like in the Bahamas?
Well, sailing is a huge part of Bahamian culture and history,
Uh-huh.
and it goes all the way back to the Lucayan Indians. These were the original inhabitants.
Okay.
And these folks were masters of navigation and boat building. And this allowed them to really spread out and flourish throughout these islands. Can you imagine navigating these waters without modern technology?
I mean, it's mind-boggling, right? Like just the stars and the currents.
Exactly, yeah. And that connection to the sea, it really shaped their entire culture.
Okay, so we've got the history, we've got incredible nature, both on land and in the water. So for someone like me, I'm more of a landlubber than a sailor.
Right.
When is the best time to visit the Bahamas?
Well, if you're looking to sail, peak season is from December to April. You've got calm seas, sunny skies,
Perfect.
perfect for navigating. But the Bahamas are a year-round destination.
Oh, okay, so I don't necessarily need my sea legs to go and enjoy everything the Bahamas has to offer.
Not at all. In fact, Sailing Through Serenity recommends, if you're more into, exploring on land, to go during the off-peak month, like
When?
May and October. It's sort of a sweet spot, still great weather, fewer crowds, and usually better prices.
Yeah, that sounds pretty appealing.
Yeah.
But let's say I do want to try my hand at sailing.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of gear is essential for, someone who's maybe new to sailing?
Yeah, a reliable chart plotter is really important. Something like the Garmin GPS MP series, that's going to help you navigate.
Okay.
Of course, you want a marine VHF radio so you can stay connected. And even though we have the chart plotter, you always want to have a compass as backup.
Right. Just in case.
And of course, safety is paramount.
Of course.
So life jackets for everybody on board,
Right.
a well-stocked first aid kit, and fire extinguishers. It's kind of like packing for a camping trip,
Mm-hmm.
but on the water.
But with some added dangers.
Right, exactly.
So we're geared up. We're ready to go. Where should we head first? I know Sailing Through Serenity highlights 4 iconic islands that we should definitely check out.
Yeah, it does. And each of these islands is so unique.
Okay.
So we'll start with Nassau, the capital. It's got this great blend of history, but also a modern, exciting vibe.
Okay.
You've got landmarks like the Queen's Staircase. It was hand-carved into this limestone hill.
Wow.
And Fort Nassau gives you a glimpse into the colonial past.
So a little something for everyone.
Yeah. And there's also Sailing Through Serenity highlights the Junkanoo Museum. You familiar with Junkanoo?
I'm not.
It's this incredible festival, lots of music, costumes, dancing. It's really, really vibrant and energetic.
So even if we don't catch the actual festival, this museum gives us a little taste of what it's all about.
Exactly. It's a great way to kind of get a feel for the soul of the island.
Okay, color me intrigued. I'm adding that to the list. Now, where are we sailing to next?
All right, next up, the Exuma Cays. These are famous for just their unreal natural beauty, like picture pristine waters, secluded beaches, and just teeming with life. And a lot of it is protected,
Okay.
especially the Exuma Cays Land and Sea Park.
Uh-huh.
Very, very highly protected.
That's great.
And then there's Pig Beach. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, swimming pigs.
Yeah.
I have heard about that.
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
That sounds unbelievable.
It's a very surreal experience. And if you're a Bond fan, you might want to check out Thunderball Grotto.
Oh, okay.
It's this incredible underwater cave system. It was actually featured in one of the Bond movies.
Wow, so we can kind of relive a little bit of movie history
You can.
while snorkeling through this incredible underwater world.
Exactly.
Okay, Exumas are officially on my list.
Good.
Now, what's next on this island hopping adventure?
Let's head over to Abaco. This island's got a really cool mix of like secluded beauty,
Okay.
but also vibrant towns. So, you can find that kind of peace and quiet if you want it.
Right.
But then also there are, places like Hopetown with these charming candy-colored houses and the iconic lighthouse.
I've seen pictures of that. It's beautiful.
It's very picturesque, and it's also a very popular spot for fishing. So if you're into that, that's the place to go.
So there's something for everyone in Abaco.
Yeah.
All right, what about our final stop?
Okay, so our last stop, according to Sailing Through Serenity, is Eleuthera. And this island is known for its kind of dramatic, rugged landscapes.
Okay.
So picture this. The glass window bridge,
Oh,
this narrow strip of land where the Atlantic Ocean, that deep blue,
yeah.
it crashes against the calmer turquoise waters of the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
It's a really stunning visual.
So you can actually walk from the Atlantic to the Caribbean?
Yeah, well, on this bridge, you can.
That's amazing.
And then there's also the world-famous Pink Sands Beach,
I have heard of that.
which it gets its pink hue from these tiny crushed shells.
Wow, that's incredible. So we've got 4 very different islands that offer all kinds of different experiences. We talked history, culture, and nature.
Right.
But what about the food? What culinary delights can we look forward to in the Bahamas?
The food.
Yeah.
So Bahamian cuisine, it's this wonderful fusion of a lot of different cultural influences.
Okay.
So obviously you've got fresh seafood everywhere, right?
Oh.
Grouper, snapper,
Of
all that good stuff. But then you have things like conch fritters.
Oh, I've heard of those.
Yeah, it's a local delicacy. And guava duff.
Guava duff.
Yeah, it's this warm, spongy pudding. They infuse it with guava
Okay.
and usually serve it with a rum sauce. It's very, very Bahamian.
That sounds amazing. So where do we find these culinary delights? Is it, fancy restaurants, or is it more street food, or what?
Sailing Through Serenity recommends, a mix of things.
Okay.
So you want to try local restaurants, get those kind of home-cooked flavors.
Yeah.
But also don't be afraid to hit up street vendors, really get that authentic experience.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there are probably some food festivals or something like that. So
yeah.
it's all about immersing ourselves in those local flavors.
Mm.
Now, what about the people? How do we make sure that we're interacting respectfully with the locals and really, immersing ourselves in their way of life?
That's a great question. Sailing Through Serenity stresses the importance of understanding the Bahamian way of life. And, it's slower paced.
Okay.
It's all about embracing that island time.
Right.
Engaging in polite conversation, maybe learning a few basic phrases in the local dialect, just, showing that respect and being mindful.
Right. So go with the flow.
Exactly.
Embrace island time.
Yeah,
Now, we've covered a lot of the basics, but Sailing Through Serenity goes beyond that, right?
it does.
Talks about hidden gems, the underwater world.
It does. We're going to get into that.
There's a lot more to uncover here.
Yeah, we'll explore all of that.
Okay, so we're back and ready to, dive in.
Literally.
Yeah, literally, into the underwater world of the Bahamas.
Mhm.
And, Sailing Through Serenity does such a good job of describing the diverse marine life there.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to admit, the open ocean kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Understandable.
So are there any tips for someone like me who wants to experience it but is maybe a little nervous about, being out there in the big blue?
Yeah, I mean, the good news is the Bahamas is a really great place to start.
Okay.
Even if you're a beginner. The waters they're generally calm, they're very clear,
Right.
and there are a ton of experienced guides and operators.
Okay.
So, you're in good hands.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah. But, one thing Sailing Through Serenity really stresses is that no matter how we experience it, we have to respect that environment.
Right, of course.
It's a delicate ecosystem.
Yeah.
So whether you're snorkeling or diving, be mindful of the coral. Don't touch it. Don't disturb the marine life.
Right.
And even just little things like, wearing reef-safe sunscreen.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
All those things can make a big difference.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that we're visitors in this world, right?
Right.
We got to treat it with respect.
Oh.
So speaking of the underwater world, I know Sailing Through Serenity talks about some incredible diving spots.
It does.
And Dean's Blue Hole really caught my eye.
Oh, yeah.
What makes this place so special?
It's the deepest blue hole in the world.
Wow, okay.
Over 660 feet deep.
Like, that's terrifying.
It's pretty impressive. And, it's not just the depth.
Yeah.
It's also the clarity of the water. The visibility is incredible.
So you can see, like, all the way down.
Pretty much, yeah. And so it attracts, freedivers who really want to test their limits,
Yeah.
push the boundaries. But for, recreational divers like us,
Yeah.
there are plenty of shallower reef